Salve YouTube, and welcome to this multiplayer hotkeys tutorial for Total War Rome 2. Alright, so here we are on the battle controls menu. You can access this by going to the gears icon, and you go to controls, and then you go to battle. Now, I've been getting some questions about, how I'm doing certain things on the battlefield. And before we go in there, I just want to show you guys what kind of controls I've got set up and talk a little bit about what I think are useful controls that not a lot of people necessarily know about. So the first thing I did when I got into this game was setting my special ability slots. I instantly set them to F1, F2, F3, F4. And I don't think any unit really has more than 4 abilities in multiplayer, so adding all these other ones seems like a little bit of a waste to me. Maybe some units will have them, but I've got them set up as F1, F2, F3. So for different units, it'll be different things, and you can access this very quickly because it's right on top of your W and right on top of your 1, 2, and 3 control units. So you can access those really quickly if you set them to F1s. Alternatively, you can set them to maybe a macro on your mouse or something like that. It's really down to you. Another really important thing that a lot of people don't know about is these things. Increasing rank and increasing file. You can actually make your army thicker or deeper with these buttons, and I'm going to show you this once we get into the actual demo. This can actually be very helpful for phalanx units. You can bring your phalanx units pretty much shoulder to shoulder, and they'll present a very much more powerful front. Another thing that a lot of people ask me about is how do you move your entire formation forward without grouping it together in the first place, and that is done through these commands here, the strafing and the stepping. You can step forward and backwards, and then you can strafe right and left using the arrow keys. I've got those set up as you see. And then another very important one is the rotate left and rotate right. I changed these to comma and period. So these are a little bit out of the way. I do have to take my hand off the mouse for a little bit, but they are very useful sometimes in realigning up your units or your phalanx. And I really like them for range units actually, because you can rotate your ranged unit properly towards the enemy so it can do more damage. So with all that being said, I think it's very important for you guys to be able to select and save your keys. So save the keys and maybe put your key file on a USB or something. One last thing before we jump into the demo, these little controls here I think are also important. Infantry, Cav, and Missile. Basically Control M, Control I, and Control C. I wanted to change these to macros on my keyboard, but I figured I don't really use them that much. But sometimes they can be useful when you want to get all your missiles into one place or all your infantry lined up really quickly, especially in the late game. So without further ado, let's head into a random battle here. I'm not really going to give the CPU a lot. I'm just going to give him a general. And hopefully he won't attack me. So let's be as Rome. Actually, let's be as something with a phalanx faction. So let's go with Athens. I'll pick some pikes. I'll pick some archers, and I'll pick just some random sword units. All right, whatever. Just to show you guys how it looks like. But yeah, this is, I think, something that every person who plays in multiplayer should be very familiar with. Your hotkeys are something that's very important, and it allows you quick access to your units, and you can micro them better. And once you feel comfortable enough with your hotkeys, it really just feels sort of second nature. So for me, I'm always using 1, 2, 3, 4 for my control groups, and I'm always using F1 to F4 to pop the abilities at the time that I want. And I'm constantly taking I find myself constantly taking my right hand off the mouse too, just to reach some other hotkeys. But here we go. I'm not going to actually start the battle, by the way. So let's now take a look at some other things that you can actually do to better control your troops. So one thing that maybe some of you won't know is if, let's say I have these hoplites. Well, if I want to select all of them, I have several ways to do this. I can control and single click, or I can select the first one and then shift and then hit the last one, or I can control and double click one of them, and that will give me the selection of all of the units there. So yeah, I think that's something that's a little bit useful. Or I can just go control I, but see, that gives me my my infantry as well, and control M will give me my archers, and control C will give me my general. So let me show you a little bit about the strafing. Wow, this map is awkward. The strafing. So now if I use my, see, this is up arrow. Regardless how I face my camera, it always goes forwards compared to the units, forward, backwards, and I find strafe really useful, especially when you want to tilt your line. And let's say you want to move at a diagonal, well, you can just go up left or up right, which I think is really cool. And here are the rotate. See, the rotate works this way and that way. See, it's pretty cool. So let's get these swordsmen out of the way and get the pikes so I can show you what I mean with the pikes. So if I go control and up, as you can see, they're increasing their file. See? And then I can put that back. But one thing about pike units to notice is that when you rotate them, they're going to rotate like that. See, they're not going to rotate together, so they will leave gaps. What you can do, I think, to combat this was true in Rome 1, is if you got them, hold on, let's see if that, yep, see, if you have them in a control group, they will rotate the way you want them to rotate. And so what I'll do is I'll go control, and then I'll hit 1, and then I'll hit 2. And as you can see now, my phalanx is pretty much interlocked. See that? And then I can put my pikes down. And then look at that. It's a front. It's a front of pikes. So yeah, I think that's something that's really cool that you can use. The groupings, if you still don't know how to use the groupings, you ungroup and group with G, but that does not keep your formation. So let's say we do this. And then I group these guys and I move them here. See, they won't move in the same formation. What you need to do is you need to hit Control and G. That will group the unit, and then they'll move together in the same formation. So let's say I want, you know, to make this weird shape, for example. Whatever. We go Control G. See, that unlocked them from the previous formation. Control G again. Now they stay in that formation indefinitely until I tell them to. So what I'll usually do is I will have my front line, or yeah, pretty much my front line of units. I'll have those guys grouped in a formation together. So like something like this, I'll put them in a formation, and yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about with the phalanx shoulder to shoulder. Look how awesome that is. It's going to be more difficult for units to get in between it. But yeah, I'll usually put my main line like this. And then as for my archers and my support units, I'll just give them standard Control 2, Control 3 commands. That way I can move them around and you know, without having to reset the formation. So now if I reline my phalanx, they're going to stay together the way I set them initially. But for these guys, I might want them to be narrower in some places or wider in some others. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've got. Oh, the last thing is the unit abilities. So you can see that this one is going to be F1 for me. So these phalanxes, these pike phalanxes, for example, they only have F1 and F2. My general is going to have up to F4, and he's a general. But see, you very rarely see anything with more than 4. Like, see, even these skirmishing units. Sometimes you might get a 5 and a 6, but it's not for all units, and I don't think it merits a hotkey. But anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you do have any more questions, please do let me know in the comment section below. This is just a little tutorial, or just a little insight on how I think you can maybe get this game to be a little bit more responsive and improve your micro. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.